is going on, Chaotix? It is your boy Chaos here, and today we're going to be going over Apex Map Madness. Now, those of you who know the United States College Basketball NCAA tournament known as March Madness, that's what this is. It's just a parody of that with Apex Legends and the dropping spots. By the way, if you have not made your March Madness team, if you've not done Selection Sunday, that is today. So make sure you go do that today so you get it done. And so that way your bracket's official and it works on time. But we're going to be going over all the name places. It is divided into 4 sections: the South, the North, the West, and the East. And we're going to be going over each section and which one I like the most. So I'm going to be picking the ones I either drop to the most, the ones I like to go to, the ones I like to find things in, what I think has better equipment usually or generally. It's basically my opinion here. So if you want to do this, I have left a link to the post, the original post on Twitter, with this map on it, so you guys can go and do your own bracket, fill it out there if you want to. Let me know in the comment section down below too what yours looks like, or retweet it at me on Twitter. You just have to tweet at Chaos6ix on Twitter. It works. But we're going to look at the South bracket with Skulltown, Bridges, Water Treatment, Market, and Thunderdome. North has Artillery, Cascades, Slum Lakes, and Relay. West holds Bunker, the Pit, Supply Ships, Airbase and Runoff, and the East holds Swamp, Hydro Dam, Repulsor, and Wetlands. So the South and the West both have an extra 5th option in them because supply ships really do spawn in the West. That's generally where you're going to find them, but they usually are in the South, so I might have given them the South part of the map, but Bridges really fits over in the South as well. So we're going to be taking a look at the second and the third of each of the South and the West first, because those two are going to be paired up against each other. So we're going to be pairing Bridges versus the Water Treatment Plant. Now, if you guys have seen some of my drops, I usually drop at Water Treatment Plant. I really like the diversity and the space in there. I think it has a lot more value to it. That being said, Bridges also is a really good place to drop, but I just prefer the Water Treatment Plant. So I'm going to give Water Treatment the edge over the Bridges in this first round. Next up, we got the Pit versus the Supply Ships. Now, Supply Ships, if they're in range of the dropping carrier, you're going to probably have a bunch of teams going there. So you're most likely never going to end up there by yourself. And it just depends on who gets the guns first there. Yes, if you want to do some quick matches, if you want to get right into the fray at the beginning of the match, supply ships are the place for you. But I just prefer the Pit. I think it's an underrated place. It's very wide open and also a really nice place to grab some high tier loot that a lot of people don't usually go to. So I'm going to give that to the Pit as it takes over. So it goes up against Bunker in the next round. So with that being out of the way, we're going to start our first round where we have 2 in each bracket, 2 in each port of the bracket. So we're going to start with Skulltown versus the Water Treatment Plant. Now, Skulltown is a really cool place. It's got a lot of little hiding areas you can go into, a lot of buildings to find equipment in. That being said, I don't think loot spawns there as often as I really want it to. And there's usually not a bunch of stuff unless you get lucky. So I don't really care for Skulltown too much, and I already said with Water Treatment Plant, you usually find some good tier loot there. You gotta find a couple guns. You're gonna find most of your attachments for those guns too. So I think Water Treatment Plant is a really solid place to go. So I'm gonna give the edge here to the Water Treatment part of the map. Next up is the Market and the Thunderdome. Now, Thunderdome, I really don't see a lot of people going here. I kind of like it too. I think it's a really cool place to look at. But a lot of people don't go here, and it is pretty spread out. So to get to one part of the Thunderdome to the other, where the loot is, you have to run in wide open area, and I don't really like that. But that being said, the Marketplace is very much a free-for-all. It's one of those places that you go in there, and you have to get a gun right off the bat. And usually you want to not be found by your opponent before you find them. And it's really, really a great place to get a lot of deaths in and a lot of kills if you're really good with the game. Or if you just get a good gun and your opponent doesn't have one. But it can be a little tricky to run around through. It's a good place mid-game if it hasn't been looted yet to find a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to give the edge here to the Market over the Thunderdome. I just think it's worth more. I like it more mid-game, not the dropping part of it. But I like it more mid-game than a starting place. Next up, we got Artillery and Cascades. So I don't really think I've ever been to the Cascades more than like once or twice, just passing through. Artillery is a good place that I like to drop. Tui and I drop there quite often when we play, and I think Artillery just has a bunch of space, good fighting area, great to get some starting off loot. Not the best place when it comes to finding loot, but it does get you some place to get started, and is a solid drop spot. So I'm going to give the edge to Artillery in that round. Next up, we got Slum Lakes versus Relay. Now, Relay I think is really underrated. It is a quite open space. I do know that. But it does have some really nice potential for some really cool early game skirmishes. And also some really good loot that a lot of people don't drop to since it's so far off in the map. That's also another problem with it. It's all the way in the top right corner of the map. So good luck getting there and then getting your stuff you need and then booking it to the other half of the map to try to get into the zone. Slum Lakes is also a really cool place, but you know, I don't really think I've been there too much. I'm going to give the edge to Relay here. I just think it works better and also is pretty much a safe bet anytime you want to drop there, as long as you don't have another team dropping right on top of you. Moving back over to the west, we got the Bunker versus the Pit. Now, as I want to talk about, the Bunker is probably one of the most picked places to drop in this map. It is right in the center of the map, pretty much. It's got good loot all the time. You typically can find some really good guns and some equipment, some good armor. Everything you probably need you can find in the Bunker. But that being said, it is the most congested place on the map. A lot of people just go in there. There's not really much room to fight. You have to use the doors to try to avoid things, and you can get yourself trapped in there. So I don't really like it for that reason. That being said, the Pit also is a very open space. It does have some coverage behind some boxes and things like that, but it does have also some good loot as well. But it is very open, and you can come from 3 sides to get into the Pit, and a lot of people can just destroy other teams while running in. So I'm going to give the edge here to the Bunker. I do really like the Pit. I think it's underrated, but I think the Bunker is just a better place to get loot. Also is a very fun place to play if you're a Chaos6ix, because you can just set up your traps everywhere, and yeah, people aren't going to be able to get through that. Next up, we got Airbase and Runoff. So this really isn't a hard question for me. Airbase, as I've said, one of the places and one of the things I don't like about the map is it being so wide open, and Airbase is the prime example for wide openness. You literally have to go to the end of the runway, which you have to run back into the base itself to get anywhere else on the map. So while you're running across the airstrip, you're probably going to get shot down with a sniper, or someone's going to be waiting for you as you're coming towards the base. And there's not really much room to work there, so I really don't care for it. That being said, Runoff is a very weird area. It sort of runs similar to the Hydro Dam and the water treatment plant, in my opinion. But I just think it's really weird how it's played out. There's 2 boxes in the middle of nowhere. In the middle of the open of the field, there's 2 as you go in, coming into the sewer, which makes sense if you're just coming into the area, but it also is a pain in the butt and an easy way to get picked off by anyone. So I don't know if that's really the best place, but I'm going to give the edge to the Runoff just because I don't like the airbase. It is my least favorite spot on the map, fun fact, and I really hate going there. So if you ever play with me, do not pick the airbase because it's somewhere I do not really care to be. Although you can get on top of the buildings if you have a sniper rifle, it does work out, but I just prefer not to go to the airbase in general. Next up, we got the Swamp and the Hydro Dam. So Hydro Dam is somewhere I don't usually go to, typically. Swamp is one of my favorite areas. Though it is a little spread out, Swamp does provide some really good armor and really good weapons, and also gives you a chance to play the area really well. So it has buildings everywhere. You can run into the building, you can run out of the building. You usually can run underneath the places, and it's got zip lines going everywhere. So you can play with the zip lines, run back and forth across them. I really like the area, and I'm going to give the edge to the Swamp here, just because it's one of my favorite places to drop as well. Next up is Repulsor and Wetlands, 2 places I don't typically go, but 2 very cool areas that I nonetheless think need to be talked about. So I'm just going to go ahead and show my opinion. It is the Wetlands. I do like the area slightly better. I think it's got better loot. I really don't care to run through the Repulsor because, again, it is a very congested area. It does have some good coverage spots, but if you get into a fight in the middle and they have the coverage, you're pretty much screwed. So I'm going to give the edge to the Wetlands there, just because you have, I think, a little bit more coverage out there than you would in the Repulsor. So now we get to move on to the round of 8, folks. So Elite 8, if you will. So we've got Water Treatment Plant against Market to take the south, Artillery Relay for the north, Bunker and Runoff for the west, and Swamp and Wetlands for the east. So as I said, Water Treatment Plant, very good place to get a bunch of loot. But that being said, I think Water Treatment Plant and Marketplace are 2 very similar places to each other. Both are pretty tightly knit and also connected to each other. But that being said, I think the Water Treatment Plant gives you just a little bit more variety and a little bit more chance to live a gunfight. Market, you have to pretty much jump on the roof, and then it's a wide open fight up there. So it's really playing the vertical level, but Water Treatment Plant, you can play running through doors, you can play shutting doors, you can play ambushes. It's I think it's a better place to get items and then also take on opponents as well. In the north, we got artillery and relay, and I really do like both of these places, two of my favorite places to drop, and I hate that they're so close to each other because it's hard to pick between the two. I think artillery is a more chosen spot to go to, and I really do like relay for being the sort of out there spot, but then again, I'm going to give artillery the edge here just because relay is a little bit farther out on the map and also causes a little bit more problem when you're trying to get into the zone at the end of the game. And that's a big issue because if you're running into the zone late, you're going to have to heal up as soon as you get in there, and then you're going to be picked off. So I think artillery gives you a better chance to get back into the zone, even if the zone's on the other side of the map. Let's say if it's in the southwest quadrant of the map, you have a better chance from getting to getting down there to like the water treatment area from artillery than you do from from relay. So I'm going to give the edge slightly to artillery. I like both places. I think they're both really cool places, and I like dropping to either. So it's really a hard pick for me, but I'm going to give it to artillery. Going over to the west, we got the bunker and the runoff. Two places I don't really care to drop to. Again, bunker really too congested for me. Runoff too open, honestly. You have those buildings you can hide in, but honestly, it's easy to get ambushed from many sides. And you also have the buildings, and that's pretty much it there. With that being said, I am going to give the edge to the bunker. I think it has more playability in it. It also gives you better items, being one of the central spots in the map, and also being very, very crafty to play in and get gunfights in. It's really interesting, and being someone who likes to run a Chaos6ix sometimes, bunker is a really cool place for me to run my Chaos6ix in that place. So I really do enjoy it, and usually you can find, if you want to get into a gunfight, bunker is a really good place to go and get into a gunfight. So this should be no surprise to you what triumphs here. Swamp and wetlands. Pretty similar areas in my opinion. I like the swamps a little bit better with the buildings. So I'm going to give the edge to the swamp. And that's going to wrap up the round of 8. We're moving to the Elite Four. We got water treatment versus artillery in the north-south bracket. And we have bunker versus swamp and west-east. So let's take a look at these two matches here. So we got water treatment plant and artillery. Again, both really cool places. Two of my staple places. I like how they kind of opposite each other on the map. Artillery is kind of directly mid-north, and water treatment's kind of directly mid-south. I kind of like that aspect of them. That being said, I do think water treatment plant does have a few issues. I've tried to land on the building before and jumped off the map accidentally. I have never done that with artillery, so I don't think that's much of a problem. But that being said, if you do have a bunch of people dropping artillery, it is kind of hard to get out of there alive. So with all that being said, it's hard for me to pick, but I'm going to give the edge to artillery here. I think it's a better drop site. I think you have less risk going there. You have plenty of options to go loot. You can choose the big building on the left or the right. You can choose the big bunker in the back. You can choose the stowaway places in the front side of it. It's got a really good diversity, and I like that about the artillery. Then we got bunker in the swamp. So bunker is still hanging around, one of the most congested places in the game. And swamp, probably one of the more open places out of what's left in the bracket here. I hate to say it, but I do not like wide open areas. But that being said, bunker is just too much of a ready-to-die section. You're going to go in there and die. The only really way to go into bunker is if it's mid-game, and you're most likely going to find a couple squads boxes there. So I'm going to give the edge here to the swamp. I think it works a little bit better than bunker does. That being swamp, even though it's wide open and it's pretty spread out from each other, I think it is a better way to play the game than it is to just sit there and try to mow people down in the bunker. So I'm going to give it to swamp. Now we're into our championship matches between artillery and swamp, and honestly these are my two favorite places to drop in the map. Relay comes in there as a nice third. I really do like water treatment plant, as I said, but these two are my primary drop spots depending on where I go. So if it's more to the east side of the map, I will jump swamps. If I can get to artillery, and that's the only place I can get to, I will take artillery. So usually I can get to one of the two places in my drops. But that being said, I have to pick a winner here, and what's going to win? Well, artillery, again, very diverse, got a lot of different items, can get some cover in it. But that being said, it is very difficult to play in those big buildings. They have 3 floors. They got the mid floor that is pretty closed off, but you can be seen from everywhere, which is really annoying. The top section is just a little room on the top, which is actually interesting to play in, resembling those smaller buildings that you find throughout the map. And you have the bottom floor, which you're probably going to get mowed down from above. People can drop in on you. The doors open and they're really loud, so I don't really care for those features. And that's probably where I drop the most. But that being said, artillery is one of the places I've done the best playing the game in. Next up, you got Swamp, and that's who its opponent is. Swamp, again, very open, but I've never really had a conflict here that I haven't been able to distinguish. There's a lot of building cover. There's a lot of ways to run around. You can get into different buildings, probably find more loot. It's very, very much a great place to get loot. It's probably one of the best places in the game to get loot. You can run around. There's a bunch of different loot boxes everywhere. Buildings all have at least a couple items in them. So it's a great place early game to go. Sadly, you cannot go there mid-game. And you can't really go either of these places mid-game. Unless artillery is the final circle or swamp is the final circle, you're probably not going to go to these places unless you drop there. So, that being said, I think I have to give it to the better of the two for drop spots. And I'm going to go ahead and give that to Swamp. Swamp's going to be your champion here. I just like the area too well. I think it's sitting there on the side. Gives you really cool options to get stuff and get a bunch of items. You can probably find at least one item you can get pretty decked out. At least with some gear and all attachments, and you probably can find any gun you're looking for as well. So if you want to find that elusive wingman or peacekeeper, it's probably there waiting for you. You just got to go find it. That being said, a lot of the other spots on the map don't have a lot of options when it comes to finding items. I just think Swamp just does the best with giving you the variety that you need to find and build your set how you want to build it. So I'm going to give the edge here to Swamp. Swamp's going to be your champion, folks. And that's where I'm going to wrap it up for Map Madness. I hope you guys did enjoy. Again, if you have not gone and filled out your brackets for March Madness with the NCAA tournament, make sure you go ahead and do that. Today is your day to do that. So just a friendly reminder there. If you guys want to fill out your own Map Madness bracket, if you have not had enough of the madness of filling out brackets, I will put a link to the original post where you can get this map yourself and you can fill it out in your own style or whatever way you want to do it. And then feel free to retweet it at me on Twitter if you want to. Let me know which one you think would be at the top of yours. If you are not going to do a bracket, let me know that in the comment section. And I would love to see what you guys think of Apex. As I said, I haven't been to a lot of places on this map that I've named because I typically stay on my staples because I know them well enough that I can get through them without dying. But let me know if your opinions might be different from mine. You might really like the bunker, as I've called it really congested and really a weird place to go, but you might really like it, or you might really like the wide openness of the airbase and you want to choose that as your favorite. Just let me know in the comment section. I'm interested to see what you have to say. And folks, if you have not already subscribed to this channel, what are you doing with yourself? It's a really cool channel. We put a lot of work into it and we're hoping to bring you some really cool content. Again, you can see my series right now every Thursday of this month with the Sonic Adventure Director's Cut edition. You can watch that every Thursday. And I will be playing through the Sonic parts of this game and then moving on to some of the other characters later on. And then next month, I'm going to be taking over the Sunday spot with that game as well. But there might be some more videos like this from me coming out. You never know. And we got some really cool stuff. WWE is going on with Tui and Damien. They got some really cool things going on. Tui, I know, has been thinking about doing some Reddit videos and things like that. So definitely go check out those guys. Definitely hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode of anything going on with this channel, because you never know what you're gonna find. We got some really cool series in the works, and I'm really excited to be working with these guys. So make sure you show them some love, make sure you show us some love, and of course, if you want to see more content just from me, go check out my YouTube channel. There will be a link on the screen for you to click on. And I primarily do Pokemon content, but I do like to get into other content on this channel and on my Twitch, so you can go ahead and follow that too. And I guess I will see you guys next time for some more content. Of course, leave a like if you did enjoy. And, of course, subscribe. We really do appreciate it here at Invisible Corporations. And so, until next time, folks, I'm going to sign out right now. So, I'll see you then. But until then, my name is Chaos, and I am signing off. Stay safe, and as always, folks, burn it up.